Hi folks, it's Darcy from the purposefulpantry.com and welcome back to another edition of DRYCEMBER, where we're taking a bite-sized chunk out of learning to dehydrate all month long. And today we're going to be talking about rehydrating your dehydrated goods. Okay, so tonight for dinner we're making cottage pie, which is basically shepherd's pie with just beef. Okay, so it's basically beef with a sauce mixture, a bunch of vegetables in a baking dish with mashed potatoes over the top, baked, and it makes a meal. So instead of having fresh vegetables, which at this moment I don't have many because I haven't been to the store this week, so what I've done is I've gone into my dehydrated goods and picked out a bunch of vegetables that I'm going to be using in the meal. So a good rule of thumb in using dehydrated goods to replace fresh is 1 cup of fresh equals approximately 1/4 cup to 1/3 cup dried, which equals to about a tablespoon of powder. Okay, so this right here is about 4 cups, maybe 5 cups worth of fresh vegetables. It is a mixture of mixed vegetables that I do a lot of frozen mixed vegetable blends to create bulk for my pantry and for powders. So I will do, it's got mixed vegetables, it's got extra parsnips, it's got extra carrots, it's got celery, it's got broccoli, and it's got, what else did I put in here? I think that's about it. So it's this blend that I have of just a bunch of these vegetables that I know is going to be the basis for my meal. So what I like to do, I will pour about this much water into my jar. I want to make sure that all the vegetables have enough water inside to be covered. I'm going to use all of this water to put in this jar, and then it's going to sit in my refrigerator all day long and just soak. So these will be rehydrated by the time dinner starts. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the vegetables out, and I'm going to add the water that I soaked them in into the water that I used to cook my potatoes to make mashed potatoes. So I'm not letting this water go to waste at all. Okay, I'm not letting it go to waste at all. What I could also do with it is put it into my the sauce blend that I use for my hamburger meat. That could be the liquid basis for that sauce. So I don't let that water go to waste if I can possibly help it. And if nothing else, I can use it to water a plant. You know, if I've got the garden growing, I will use that water to turn around and water the garden. Another way that you can do it is if you have a bowl of your vegetables that you're ready to use, pour hot water. I mean, you want boiling water. Pour over those vegetables enough to cover them well. You don't want them to be just to have a little water. You want to cover them well. The amount of water doesn't matter. There is no ratio for doing vegetables this way that you need the exact amount of water to do. So you cover them in hot water and you let them sit from anywhere from 15 to 45 minutes, depending on the density of the vegetable. Things that aren't very dense won't need as much time. Things that are super dense or like mushrooms need a lot of time to rehydrate. So make sure that you have that going. You can even put them on a little bowl of simmering water on the stove if you want. That will work well too. The last way to rehydrate your vegetables is just to throw them into the soup or the stew that you're making and let them rehydrate in there as they simmer. And you need to have something that's going to be on the stove for a little while, not something that you throw it immediately into a hot, like if you're making chicken soup, you don't want to have your soup all made, throw your vegetables in, and then think it's ready to go. You want it to go for a little while to simmer and get those vegetables rehydrated into your soup. But that's the third way to do it. It's really easy to rehydrate. It's going to take you a little time to figure out which ones take longer, which ones take shorter. But basically, the denser the vegetable, the longer it takes to rehydrate. So those things that are like peas and carrots and corn, those don't take anywhere near as long as something that's more dense like potatoes and mushrooms and things like that. Okay, something you need to remember also, the blanching affects your rehydrating. Those things that needed to have been blanched first will take longer to rehydrate if you didn't blanch them, because it's part of the process. The blanching kind of pre-cooks them a little bit, which makes it easier for them to rehydrate. It also can change the texture of what it tastes like after. So for things like celery, where you can make the choice of whether or not you want to blanch it beforehand, it will affect the texture of it after in the bite. So I find, because I don't blanch ahead of time, my celery has a little bit more bite to it when I rehydrate it than if I had blanched it fully, dehydrated and rehydrated, where it's a little softer. But I'm okay because I like that little bit of bite to it. So those are the 3 basic ways that you can rehydrate your vegetables. Some ways to rehydrate your fruit is the same. You can do it within water if you'd like. Some people like to soak them in alcohol to give them a flavor that when they're about to use them in another meal, in a baking dish, they like to add that alcohol aspect to it to do it that way. You can rehydrate in fruit juices. You can rehydrate in a simple syrup if you like. just any of those kind of things where you're giving it enough time in some hot liquid to make it to where the fibers of that dehydrated fruit can expand and absorb that water. The hot water is really necessary. Unless you're doing a long soak in cold water in the refrigerator, then you don't need the hot water. So I hope that helped. That's a really great basic way to learn how to rehydrate the dehydrated food you already have. Now you can use broth, you can use any kind of liquid medium that you want, and then just turn around and use that broth in another meal down the road. Okay, so that's it. Rehydrating is really that easy. So, and before we go, I just want to remind you that I do have this entire series available as an ebook / PDF format for your tablet, your phone, or that you can print off, available on my website. It is $3 through the end of the year, and once it turns January 1st, it will be $4. So this is it. I'll have a link down below. And if you missed yesterday's video, it will be right here for you. The entire series is going to be available here so that you can catch up on any ones that you might have missed. You can subscribe to our channel here, and I hope to see you again tomorrow for another edition of DRYCEMBER.